Oh, I don't not deal with anxiety and sometimes some paranoia when there's an accumulation of a lack of human thinking tools in others. Like, for example, when I ask things more than once and it's information I deserve to get and it's important I get, and it's delayed when I get it, it might trigger some paranoia. Now, the paranoia could be legitimate because sometimes I investigate and it is, but most of the time it isn't. Most of the time it's HSD, it's the incompetence of others. But when there's an accumulation of these things in the same day, or the same few days when important things are coming up for me, like deadlines or stuff, then of course you're starting wondering, what are people that are dishonest with others in front of me doing to be dishonest against me? So how much of it is reality-based or not reality-based is sometimes out of my control to find out, although I have evidence that such people have, created harm for others in our network, let's say. Then is it a time that they're doing it with me? And chances are it isn't. But these anxieties and paranoias are things I have to deal with. And they're easy to manage now because, again, just like I'll never be in a deep depression again, I'll never suffer from anything else related to questioning my own sanity, because it's related more to how the majorities act or how minorities act, but how they are, sometimes all in the same time period, right? I got this, I don't usually eat white bread, but it was a bit hot and it had, I think it was a margarine. But when I got it, it was like all over the place. Like it was opened on the side and like a lot of the food had leaked out, including on a freezie that the lady was showing me that she gave me. And because I didn't want to leave it in there, I wanted to separate it. And we saw, whoa. And I said, I got to get a napkin to wipe all the noodles off the freezie. I said, there's napkins already in there. She's really, and it's close to closing, but it's not totally closing. She's really like, I saved another soul. I don't need to problem solve anymore there. But she also is the kind of person that, you might know people like this, who picks and chooses what to be aware of, even though it's right, their senses are right telling them, or what not to be aware of, and what to believe in without evidence, and what not to believe in with evidence. You might know people like that in your life who pick and choose things to respond to in reality with you. Let's say you want to speak with a relative about a certain thing, and they don't want to acknowledge that certain thing, although the evidence of its reality is very easy. Like some people spend their entire lives like this. Well, here's a correlation that somebody that's doing a master's degree can verify if you want. I believe there's a correlation that people that pick and choose reality end up more likely being religious than non-religious. You do the science, you collect the data. I kind of already know the answer. It's more likely they're religious than not religious. People with that personality type, especially if they spend a lifetime like this, and especially if loved ones that they care about challenge them on this and they don't budge, chances are reality is not a place they want to live, and therefore religions such as Christianity. So yes, you guessed it. I'm grateful for this meal from the Salvation Army. They believe they saved my soul, but really, where's the hope in humanity? Where's the evidence that proves my theory wrong? Where, how do I digest this with happiness, knowing I cared so little? And by the way, this particular Salvation Army, I've never seen so many self-serving people who don't even realize they're self-serving as the majority percentage of people that volunteer there. The role, again, that I'm very qualified for is still posted. It's been 2 months. And they know I've offered to volunteer too, and they're still struggling to find volunteers. You do the math there too. Like before I came into this town, this role was posted. I'm qualified for it. Did they know I was coming here through some sort of miracle? And somehow they They didn't want to fill it before I arrived. They wanted me to just look at it and say, I'm qualified for this. I can help if you let me. Or did they already have enough volunteers and suddenly I showed up in town and they lose their volunteers even before I go? Because already when I went, they were already low on volunteers. So there's less and less volunteers for the Salvation Army. And you need to ask yourselves, is it because you can't find people that disconnect from reality enough? Or you don't have the life skills, the people skills, the social skills to make it pleasant, make it an evolving community there? Is Canada a Christian state? Of course it is. It funds so many with our tax dollars that I don't agree with, organizations that I'm a victim of that are religious. So of course we are a fundamentalist, religious, terrorist, proto-society. You just have to collect the data, except most people, even non-religious people, pick and choose what they decide to tackle in this little reality of the things they want to talk about or not talk about or debate, whether they're, university professors or public servants or top politicians.